Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video what we are going to look at is how to create our first action in Flow Designer. So our action will be responsible to get the data of the weather data. So we are going to use a third-party application, let's say, in order to bring the weather data of any city. So the first thing what we are going to do is to create the application in our studio. So I'm going to open up studio and then create an application. I'm gonna give a name here. It's gonna be, let's say, weather. We can, and the description I'm gonna have here weather information like this. And you can notice here we have by default it's creating a scope. I'm gonna click on create and then continue in studio and then here. So great, we have our interface where we can later on create other application files. The first one is going to be creating our action in Flow Designer. So I'm going to create an action, and in here let's give a title, get weather data. This is going to be our action. It's going to be this application scope only, and I'm going to choose here. Make sure that you choose application here, whether the one that we have created. That's all you need to do. Click on submit. We have now our action, which is empty, and we have three different parts here. The first part where we can see our inputs and outputs. Our inputs basically it's going to be the name of the city that we are going to enter. So in this section we can create our input. So if I select here output, we can create an output. So I want to select input, keep it like this, and in here once we have created an input we can have a data payout. This is a data panel, and under input variables we can have a data pair that we can drag and drop into this section whenever we want, if we want to use the value that we are going to have in our input field. So let's click, I'm gonna create my first input, which is going to be, for example, location. Okay, so I have the name as well, automatically change from variable to location. It will be a string type, make it mandatory. And you can see here we have the data pair location that we can use later on. So I'm gonna just save this part and then give you an explanation how we can get the some data like latitude and longitude. So we're gonna use what we call an API, a third-party application. So if you're a complete beginner, let me just give you a comparison how you can understand an API. Let's say you go to a restaurant and you would like to order a meal. Obviously, you're gonna ask for the meal to a server, and the server it will go to the kitchen or somewhere else, and is going to actually send your request. Is going to say, hey, this specific client, he would like to have this meal. Okay, it's exactly the same thing, pretty much the same thing happening in here. ServiceNow is going to be the client, and the part where the meal is prepared is going to be the server in IT terms, and this actual server of the restaurant is going to be the API. It's more like the API, it's more like the middleman who's going to do the job. So you're going to send a request to the API, and the request will be fulfilled. So he's going to take care of that. So he's going to send, for example, you're asking for some information, he's going to get that information for you. So it's like the middleman in between two applications and going to allow you to bring that information. So it's not always something you can get. You can also post something. You can also give something. So like if you want to post a picture in LinkedIn, and you can use LinkedIn API in order to post a picture. So this is an on example. So what we are going to use here is the API is the following one. So there is one website called rapidapi.com, and you have a lot of API available that you can use. In our case here, I'm going to use city geolocation lookup. The first thing is to get the latitude and longitude. And in here, for example, I'm going to show you how this thing works. So I can type here, for example, a city, and I'll type, for example, Boston. and then click on test endpoint. So you can see here there are three different sections. So you don't need to learn everything what's going on here. I'm just showing you how this thing works. So we have the answer under response body, and for example under result I can see I have the name Boston, Massachusetts, and then here latitude and longitude. So I can have a different, I have 20 different results. So I have Boston for United Kingdom and so on. So what we need here is this information. We need this URL, we need this host, we need this key. So we have to sign up for an account. I have my personal account here, I have my personal key. So once you have your account, you will get this information. All you need to do is to just look up for this geolocation API. So you can easily get this information. So let's start to create our first action. So I'm going to click on the plus that I have here. It's going to open up this page. Under integration, look for REST. If you don't have integration, there is another thing that you have to do, which is activating the plugin. So I'm going to click on action, look for activate plugin, and make sure you have here ServiceNow integration of something like this. So you have here ServiceNow integration of standard pack installer. So all you need to do, click on activate. In a while you will get this this section. So we're gonna use REST. We're gonna make a REST request. So as you make a request to the server in the restaurant, in the example that I have just gave to explained to you, like you want to have a specific information. You want to have a specific meal. Here you're gonna make a REST request. I'm gonna click on REST. Okay, great. So here you have the connection details, request details that we can just take it from here, okay, from our API documentation from this part. So the first thing what we need is to make sure under connection that we have defined connection inline. So the base URL is the URL that we have to use to make the request. Okay, so I'm going back here and you can see here get, I have a specific URL. So I'm going to take this URL, copy, and then just paste into the field that I want. You could actually use the URL like this or divide the URL and put the resource path here. More often you have to consult the documentation in order to know when and what kind of information that you should use as a resource path and so on. So I'm gonna just take this part and I would like to just have the rapidapi.com as a base URL, and the rest of the information I'm gonna put it here. Okay, I don't need this part now. Now I'm gonna create a query parameter, and the query parameter, what I want is to have the location value. If you remember, we have created our input variable, so whatever the value goes in that variable, it will be stored in this data pair. So I can just take that one, drop it here, and then give a name for my variable that I'm creating here. I can actually say here location, the same thing. I'm gonna just save this one, and if I click on test, you can see there is location. I can enter any value. Do not confuse that this is not the location that you can see here. It's not related to the one we have here. It's related to the one that we have right here. So if I change this to the capital letter and then save this, and you will see if I click on test, you have the capital letter. Okay, so it's related to this label that we have here and not the one that we have in our steps. Okay, I forgot to give a title here, so I'm gonna give here REST call. So it's going to be a REST call, let's say, and then it's going to get the latitude and longitude of a city. So kind of very long title, but okay, so it's kind of meaningful. That's all we need to do at this point. We don't have to enter any other, oh sorry, let's go back let me check that. No, we do have some headers to create. So we have a host and key. So I'm going to create a host here. So headers click on plus and then make sure that you have under name X Rapid API host, and the other one is pretty much the same thing, and then I have key. So just drag and drop the value that is given for you. So probably the first one is going to be the same, just the key will be different. So I'm going to take the first value, I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to just copy it as well, the key. Great, so I'm going to save this one and test it. So let's type here, I'm going to type Chennai, for example, run the test, and then look for the result. So let's go here, and then as you can see here, I have a status code is equal to 200. That means it was successful. We got the information, and where we get the information is in the response body. So response body we have right here. So I'm going to click here, and you can see here I have the name of the city, the country, and some other information like the time zone, and also the latitude and the longitude. And I have another city which is also the same. We have two results for this one, so Chennai International and Chennai Lone. So it is working perfectly. Now what we have to do is we're gonna parse this what we have. So we do have an answer, and those answers, they are all in our response body. Okay, we should take what we have in our response body, and you saw the result is in I'm going to show you. I will show you a little bit later. Is in a JSON format. So we have to take all the information that we have in our response body and look for the latitude and the longitude and create variables for that in order to store it. So we have to create another step which is going to be responsible to parse the response body. We're going to parse the information what we have in our response body. So that's going to be our next video. See you. Bye.